Hello, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Curious About Our Planet. I'm Caitlin from Glasgow Science Centre, and today we're being joined by Tiphaine from Orbital Marine Power. She's a mechanical engineer, and she's going to be telling us a bit about tidal energy. So we're going to have a short presentation from her, and then we'll have time to answer any questions you might have. So make sure you pop those in the comments box below. So I'll now pass over to Tiphaine. Hi.
Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for having me here. So I'm Tiphaine. I'm working for Orbital Marine Power in Orkney. I'm originally from France, but I've been working for Orbital for just about 4 years. And what I've been working is the design and the build of the O2 Tidal Turbines, which is the big machine that creates electricity from the tide that I'm going to talk about today. So this is the O2 turbine. It's installed in Orkney at a test site from the European Marine Energy Centre. So it's connected to the tide in Orkney, to the island in Orkney, and just creating electricity, generating electricity for the Orkney Islands. So the way it works, so the O2 turbine is like a big floating device. It's got a big hull that they're mainly for keeping it on the surface of the water. And it's got those two legs going down in the water that at the end of it have a rotor that generates electricity from the tides. So it's very much like you'll see wind turbine generating from the wind, but instead of the wind, it's the water moving. And we've got those big rotors that are just in the water attached under this floating hull. So a better way to see it is actually see it in action. So we've got a little animation of the rotor turning under the water in this little video. So you can see in the video, you've got the hull that's attached by mooring lines to the seabed, and then you've got those rotors turning as the tides come and goes. So that's actually like the real speed at which they are turning. So it is quite slow. Compared to, for example, the propeller of a ship, those rotors are turning very slowly, but they're much bigger as well. So that's how we generate electricity. So one specific thing about this tidal turbine is that it has those legs that moves up and down, which is very handy for maintenance. So if you see on the left there, you've got the turbine operational mode. So you've got the hull at the surface, the two legs on each side, and then there's rotors that just turn and create electricity that are like deep in the water. So that's about 20 meters deep under the surface. But then maybe something needs to be checked in the rotors. Maybe you want to do it for maintenance, or if something breaks, because sometimes little component can break. And then you can raise those legs up and access into the nacelle and do the repair you need, which is pretty handy, because if it was always under the water, you couldn't be able to access it. You would have had to take everything out and back on land. So that's a very important bit about the turbine, is that if anything goes wrong, put the legs up, and then you can access and do any repair you need, or even just if you want to check everything's good, then you can access everywhere on the turbine very easily, the same way as you would access a boat. And that's also very helpful when you want to eat in and out, like for installing, because if it goes in the harbor, not all the harbor have like 24 meters of depth that you could pull that turbine in. So put the legs up, and then you can now tow it into a harbor a lot more easily. So that's general presentation of our turbines. You can see it here in the service mode. So with the legs up, you can see it's really easy to come with a boat, get on the turbine, do any work it needs done. This is a nice picture of people actually from the company being on the turbine, the team up there, to check everything was right during the install. So you've got a little boat there ready to come and drop people. It's out there. You can access the hull, you can walk on the leg, you can access the nacelle. You've got access to everything just as if it was a boat. So this is O2 Turbines. Next will be a little movie showing you how we installed it, how we built it, how we installed it. So that started about 3 years ago.
We wanted to create a new vision, and were willing to dream of things that never were. We were prepared to challenge conventional thinking, and we wanted to inspire. We just want to do as much as we can to help turn the tide on climate change. It's that simple. Inaction is not an option. The world needs to change to survive, and we want to play a positive part in that. This is just the start.
So hope you enjoyed the video. So what you could see in it very much is like all the way from the build from the start to the end when we install. It was a very interesting process to go through and to be part of, because that's something that has really never been done before. And you could see in the video the size of the people compared to the size of the turbine. It's quite a big machine to do. So there was lots of challenges to think about how we're going to put it in the water, what are we going to do, to like how to install it, all those things, how we're going to move it to the quay from where it's been built inside the workshop, all those things. But yeah, it's been a very interesting experience to be part of. And so now the turbine is out in Orkney and it's installed and it's producing powers, and we've had lots of people come and visit it. We've had some rails visitors coming, throwing some whiskey on the turbine for good luck, as you would do for a ship. And we've had also some other visitors more recently, some nice orcas coming around, because there's lots of marine mammals all around Orkney. And they just came and checked it out. So you can see in these pictures, you've got the turbine at the back with the blades sticking out because they were on a maintenance operation. So blades sticking out to get out of the way from the boat, and the orca just came cruising by, not bothered at all. As we were going. Now maybe a little bit on what happened if you're, because it's all in those pictures, it's all people coming on the turbine, so we do that when it's nice weather, but what happens when it's bad weather? Well, good news is we've thought about that as well. So everything's been designed so that if there is a storm coming in, well, the turbine's going to survive it. So it's attached to the seabed, so there's no risk of it going away. And if there's a very, very big storm, we might have to stop the rotors just to have less load on the turbine, because if you've got the force of the tide on the rotors plus the wave, it could be a lot, and it wouldn't be a very clean energy created. But very much, you can just have leave the turbine out there when it's stormy, and it's just perfectly fine with it. The wave just like go around it, and yeah, just goes into survival mode and just wait for the storm to pass. So we've got this turbine. So this O2 turbine, that's what we called a commercial demonstrator. So that means nobody asked us to build that turbine. We just said, hey, we can make a big turbine that creates electricity. We just build it, put it at the test site in Orkney, and tell people, look, it's there. It's going to be there for 15 years. It's going to create clean electricity. And then if more people want to build some more for them, then we can do that. The question is, where can we put our turbine? So the turbine works with the tidal streams, that's water moving, and it works for tides that are about 2.5 meters per second. That's when it starts creating power. So that's about 9 kilometers per hour. So about the speed of like average adult running. That's what tides we need for it to work. So a bit more about how tides are created to understand where we can find that running water that we need. So tides are created by the attraction from the moon and the sun on the water all around Earth. So it's like same as gravity. So the same way as like if I get my eraser, boom, it falls, then the water is attracted to the Earth, but it's also a bit attracted by the moon that goes around the Earth and a bit by the sun. And mainly the attraction of the moon, but a bit of the sun as well, create this little bulge of water around the Earth. So all of the water in all the ocean gets kind of attracted by the moon, and I mean there's a bit more water in places and a bit less water in other places. So it gets pulled by the moon. And then if you see, so you've got Earth, like North Pole, South Pole, and you've got that like a bulge from water, and if you're there, and if the Earth is rotating, it looks as if that bulge of water that's like the hole in my hand there is getting closer to you, or as it's going away, then away from you, or like closer again. So that's you've got this bulge of water that's like moving around Earth, and where if you stay at the same place on Earth, you'll kind of see it coming closer to you and away from you. So that's water moving. But if you go to a beach in general, you'll see tides coming up, tides coming down, more water higher in the beach, less water in the beach, but you don't necessarily have big currents there. The currents are created when you've got like land that gets in the way of that water moving. And you can see that Orkney, that's where I live, that's those islands at the north of Scotland, and it's in between, it's like at the end of all the land of the UK, and so there's water coming from the Atlantic Ocean that's trying to get pulled that way, and then UK gets in the way, so it has to go around to go into the North Sea. and then it's blocked by all of Europe. So when it's not attracted there and want to go around, it has to rush out again into the Atlantic Ocean. And that makes Orkney special for tides, that you've got all the water rushing in, lots rushing it through the islands. We are in the channel, so the tidal turbine is located in that channel there. So all the water rushing one way, and then at the other side of the tide, all the water rushing the other way through those channels in the islands. And that the fact that the water has to squeeze through all the channel, that makes it that you've got strong tide here. Well, here the water can go around and has more room to go around, so the tides are not so strong. So that the squeezing effect that makes that there's lots of tides in Orkney, and that's why we put the tidal turbine there. And the question now is, now that we've got one tidal turbine, where are we gonna put more? So if you look all around the UK, let's start with just the UK and then can go elsewhere in the world, or just even in Scotland. You've got, where do you have those squeezing effects? So you've got them around Orkney. This is Pentland First. That's between north of Scotland and Orkney. There's lots of currents as well. And then you've got them here on the west coast, because it's the same, that water is kind of squeezing through Ireland and the UK. And all those places where you've got islands, you're likely to have good currents from the water squeezing. So those are all places we could go. And then there's an interesting thing about tidal turbine as well, is that because of this water coming in and out, we can't generate electricity all the time. What happens is that there's like water rushing in, so we generate lots of electricity, and then less water, the tides changing direction, and then other direction is generating lots of power, water squeezing in, and then changing direction, and then all the water going the other way, and then change direction, and all the water going one way. So that's how you look at that, the electricity that the turbine is creating. So you've got no electricity created, lots of electricity created, no electricity created, lots of electricity created. And that's a bit of annoying, because you wouldn't want to have all that electricity. You'd rather have a lot of electricity all the time. You'd want to not maybe only boil your kettle when there's tides. But the good thing is, if you had lots of tidal time turbines at different places, you'd have the energy created at different places at different time, and then that would all smooth it up. Right. Well, I hope that was a good introduction of what tidal turbine is. I don't know if you've got any questions.
Thank you so much, Tiphaine. Yeah, I think if anybody does have any questions, put them in the comments box below. We'll try to get through as many as possible. I think we'll pop up our first one, which is, how powerful is the turbine and how much electricity does it make?
So the way we measure how powerful the turbine is its capacity. So we've got a 2 gigawatt capacity. So that means that's comparable to this, like a big, maybe not big, like average offshore wind turbine at the moment. Mm-hmm. So that's how powerful we measure it. And how much electricity it makes. So over a year, if you sum up all of the electricity, it's about what 2,000 homes would need. So it's not producing all the time everything you need, but if you sum it up, then that's what you get for 2,000 homes.
That's really cool. Thank you very much. So move on to our next question. So how is the energy generated stored?
So we don't store the energy because we are plugged in straight into the grid. So there's a cable running from the turbine all the way to the island of Edy that is then connected to the main island of Orkney and then to Scotland. So the electricity that's generated goes straight into the grid for people to use as it comes.
Cool. Thank you very much. So how long will the turbine work for? what will happen after its lifetime, and will it be replaced?
So the turbine, this O2 one, will be running for 15 years. Then at the end of 15 years, it will likely be dismantled. There's some component that may be able to be used for other turbines and some that might just need replaced because they've reached the end of their lifetime. Will it be replaced on site? I don't think we've got the answers there because we're at the test site, and that depends what EMEC, who are the test site, decide they want to do, if they want to have us, if they want to try something else. Yeah, but it could definitely be replaced if they decided they wanted to have another one there, or we could have some elsewhere.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, let's have our next question. So could the propeller harm any animals in the water?
So if you remember the little video that we saw at the start, they are like turning actually quite slow. So that's much slower than like the speed at which fish swim or like marine mammals. So no, they can't be harming the animals. Yeah, the animals are like, it's like you're not gonna run and crash into a tree if you see the trees there. You just go around, and it's the same for the animals. It's very, very slow compared to what they're used to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we saw the orcas there. That was a good illustration of that. Cool. Next question. So what happens if rubbish gets stuck inside the blades?
So it can't get so if it gets caught in the blade, we could just it's very unlikely that something will get caught and stay there because there's so much current that everything will just be like washed by the tide and the water. But if anything, you never know, maybe some fish net got caught, we could just raise the legs up and then go and clear it out. Yeah, I think it's like because there's so much current, it's unlikely that there's a lot that's going to get caught there.
Great, that's good to hear. I think we have another question. Is there any chance that it could sink?
Well, it's like a ship. You cannot say that there is zero chance, but it's been built like a ship, so it would need to sorry, because it's very floaty, so to sink it would need to have a big hole in the hull. And then it's been built with like different sections that are like all watertight. So you'd have a hole in the hull, then you still have enough floatiness for it to stay and not sink. So very, very unlikely.
Great. And we have another question. Cool. Do you think Scotland could ever be powered on just tidal, solar, and wind energy?
Yeah, I do think it's possible, especially since Scotland has a lot of resources from the wind, for example. It has quite some resource for tidal, as we've seen, so it should be possible. Yeah, there's work to do to be able to get there, especially in organizing how the grid is made. Sorry. But yeah, it's definitely possible, I think.
That's great. And I think we've got our final question popping up now, which is, what got you interested in mechanical engineering?
Well, actually, like my dad's an engineer, mechanical engineer, so it started from there. But when I was a kid, I was also very much into sailing. And I really wanted to learn how to build sailing boats. And then on the way, I just got caught in some other type of building. But Tidal Turbine is a pretty cool one too.
Yeah, It's a really cool journey to go on. Thank you so much for sharing. So that is us coming towards the end of our session. Thank you so much, Tiphaine, for joining us and for sharing all of your knowledge. And thank you to your audience as well for your questions. Just to let you know, this session is being recorded, so you can watch it back any other time. And you can also have a look at other resources on the Curious About our website, which is at curiousabout.glasgowsciencecentre.org. And we'll be back tomorrow with some more science content for you as well. So thank you very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day.